Thank you. Thank you, dear friend, for the invitation in this country that has shown the whole world the value of true democracy, the one of the people who have been able to break the chain of obligation and unfair treaty of the European tyranny. Brussels bureaucrats came here to teach you what their democracy was. Here, in June 2016, you gave a lesson on what true democracy is. On that day, on June 2016, English people gave a clear signal to the world. People must take their destiny into their own hands. Prior to that historic day, Brussels servants told us about certain catastrophe in case of Leave would have won. By reading the opinions on the result, it's easy to get bored or even smile. It seemed that every analyst captured the dramatic essence of his political affair, by attributing to the Anglo-Saxon spirit now equality, now another, fearing apocalyptic scenario and suggested distance or emulation in front of a behavior that once again in history show how La Manica is not only a geographic border. Since that day, Brussels power has been disintegrating. At the end of the negotiation on the term of the exit, the Union will lose at the same time 1/8 of its population, 1/6 of the GDP, half of the military arsenal, and 1 seat in the UN Security Council. English people have revealed a deep malaise towards the many community in position that have the power to influence their daily life and citizens. On June 2016, the great British people showed the world the failure of a process of integration based on practice and procedure that do not take into account neither the well-being of community nor the history, tradition, specificity, or individuals. The market have remained healthy, and indeed the economy of England has only found a breath of oxygen, freeing itself from the chain of the European Union. You have been pioneer of the new world. You could talk about a new pilgrim of the Mayflower, a world that has discovered the sense of belonging to an ideal, history, and identity, a few words, a sovereignty. Because of this ideal, high, proud, strong, which has addressed us here for the next few years, the sovereignty of the European people will have to resume what belongs to it. Europe will pay the price of its indecision and inconsistency. From today until May, our challenge will be to unite us in a great alliance that will have to take Brussels forth. Dear friend of UKIP, the day of the European election will be our battle of life. On our side, we have the ideas and the great men. They have budget constraint, cold number, and ridiculous obligation. By subtracting so many political decisions from the democracy process, including the imposition of a long-term austerity measure and the acceptance of mass immigration, the Union has broken the pact between mainstream national politicians and their constituency. This is how nowadays Europe is, simply undemocratic and governed by sneaky people who invoke interstate federalism in Europe to prevent voters from using democracy to interfere with the free market operation. In other words, as Juncker says, there cannot be democratic decision opposing European treaty. EU institution and treaty of the Union have been designated accordingly. The European Commission is nominated, not elected. This is proudly free of any responsibility to the voters. We do not change our decision according to how the election go. This is what Katainen said after Syriza won in Greece. This is today Europe, an organization that constantly ignores the wish of the elector. The Europe of imposed constitution, like the Lisbon Treaty. Ireland was the only state to allow a referendum on the treaty, and the people voted against it. The Irish were asked to revise their choice until they have voted in the right way. This is how democracy works in the European Union. Familiar, right? This is today Europe, a combination of single market and Maastricht Treaty, the Common Currency and Stability and Growth Pact, that has imposed deregulation, privatization, rule against work, regressive tax, welfare cuts, and financialization. A union that is increasingly subject to the dictate of the European Central Bank, whose governors are not elected and do not have to answer to anyone to their work. They prefer deflation to growth, prohibit state aid in the industry, in difficulty, and impose straightened austerity measures. Similarly, the single currency acts as a noose from the entire European region. We can neither devalue its own currency to recover competitiveness, nor emerge from the stagnation to growth with the consequence of collapse of the economy. The anti-democratic Europe of the elite has stuck down those who gave the world the principle of democracy, like Greece. Our Europe is thousands of years old. Their Europe only 60. We, from the morning following the election, have changed the present and the future of history. Political groups have to realize that the times are changing. Today, the center-left and center-right binomial is over. The new arena is the clash between the people and the globalist elite. We have no sympathy for the national nihilism of the elite of Davos. This is essential to preserve the two things we believe in the most: democracy, political system, and social democratic society. Compromise to the determinant of the European people, slowing down the revolution that is going through the world, and no longer be tolerable. Because as you teach us, live means live. In Europe, it's mounting a tide that will overwhelm the palace of power in Brussels, a tide that looks to the future, young. As young is our Vice President Matteo Salvini, who is demonstrating the world that will is power, that interest of the people come first of all. Salvini has restored dignity to a feeling of sovereignty and identity. He has given new faith to many young people who were lost, tired, disheartened by the usual politics, sicked by the usual face, and now are moved by a renewal political passion and join our battle. This is the signal that our history is changing, and we are here to change it and make it for ours. It's happening in Italy, and it's happening through Europe, as a new laboratory of sovereignty and the popular will. In the word of former guru of Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, Italy is the great experiment of our time. The League do not fear the electoral arena. It will be the great protagonist of the next European round. This election will be a referendum between the Europe of the elites, of the bank, of the finance, of immigration and precariousness, and the Europe of people and of work. They will represent the opportunity to regain control. We will demonstrate how, instead of being a threat to democracy, national states are the only stable foundation we have to identify to support commitment, sacrifice, and social trust that a democracy and social state need. The Conte government, with Salvini, is showing everyone that the fight against the establishment, the Soros and his puppet, that follow the false flag of localism, is not just an idea. It's an impeachment program based upon a real fact. Our action is finally making Italy return great, and that must take Europe great again. The May European election will fully embody the meaning and the possibility to restore dignity to the sovereign people. Democracy needs a demos, a people, which is the origin and the mean of the goal of its government. Without a demos, what remains is an elitist management upward redistribution of wealth. Change, we can do it. We must do it, our generation must do it. From every side, they attack us, say that we are populist, but being populist means doing the will of the people. Our people don't want to be slaves anymore. We are deeply committed to the democratic protection. We strongly believe in the law of the people, in local autonomy, collective goods, and egalitarian tradition. It's our duty to warn voters of the false promise of unelected Euro bureaucrats, of globalist ideology that have failed to respond to the needs of the Italian and the European citizen. It's from here that we want to start again. Our political responsibility is to understand how to respond to all this uncertainty, increasing the sense of stability and security, but also the sense of belonging to the authentic European idea, the Europe of people, with the value of freedom, justice, fighting against the discrimination of the elite. Our goal is not to have one or two additional maps after the election, but to be able to form a majority coalition within the European Parliament to finally stop this insane anti-democratic race, with absolutely catastrophic results both on social and economic level, because there is no Europe without free and sovereign nation. We have a difficult task, a task that will finally free us and free others together. We'll finally be able to write a new chapter, a new history for Europe. Thank you.